to dare to dream. We had a lot of people when we came back from that first trip to Haiti, and we were like, we want to build a hospital. And a lot of people understandably were like, it's never going to happen, good luck. But yeah, I guess dare to dream, and I guess a bit of advice that was given to me early on was by quite a successful businessman, and he said, surround yourself by better people than you.
Orbiting 250 miles above, the space station provides us with the ultimate view of planet Earth. From this perspective, we ask our guests to engage with 6 questions that orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness. For the next few minutes, this is our Wonderspace.
Welcome to the 118th episode of the Wonderspace podcast, and the first one of our 4th Wonderspace year. My name is Steve Cole, and over the past 3 years I have asked the same 6 questions to amazing people from around the world. Questions that orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness. This week on Wonderspace we orbit with Carwyn Hill, who is the co-founder of Hope Health Action, an NGO building long-term partnerships with local communities and health systems in countries such as Haiti, Sudan and Uganda. Carwyn also sits on the board of End Poverty 2030 and was awarded an MBE this year for services to international healthcare. Carwyn was nominated by Ben Solanky from Empathy Action, who you can hear on Wonderspace on episode 58. With this expansive overview of Earth, I start by asking Carwyn, if we could do a fly past over any part of the world that is significant to you, which place, city or country would it be and why?
I think it would definitely be Haiti, which is a country that's had a big impact on my life and my wife's life. It's an extraordinary place. I guess at the moment there's a lot of bad press that comes out of Haiti just from the instability that is going on there, particularly since the assassination of the president a couple of years ago. And so you only ever really see the dark side of Haiti kind of portrayed through the media, but would love to take folk to kind of go and see, not just the challenges, of which there are obviously many, but the beauty of Haiti. It's an incredible country. It's got phenomenal mountains and history and stunning beaches, and the people there are amazing. And it's been a huge part of my life. My wife and I lived out there for 5 years, so Haiti would probably be the place that I'd love to take people to see.
Carwyn, give us a glimpse into your life story so far, with an emphasis on what you are doing currently.
I just mentioned about Haiti, and that was a journey that started back in 2005, which was the year of the Make Poverty History campaign, which was a long time ago now, but was kind of this movement to declare that we could be the first generation to end extreme poverty. And I was at university at the time, and it kind of got me excited. And that same year was invited to a Christian conference. I was a youth leader at a church at the time, and the conference was very much challenging people to respond more radically to issues of poverty. So that was on my heart, and kind of was excited with a bigger picture. But a lot of people had travelled to that conference from developing countries and didn't have anywhere to stay, basically. And there was a little post-it note on a board from a Haitian pastor asking for a bed for a few nights. And I kind of, from a faith point of view, I guess, felt a sense that I should respond to that. Was a little reluctant because it was my kind of university summer holiday. Emailed this guy, and he turned up a few days later and turned out to be the president of the Baptist Convention of Haiti. So he was quite a prominent, individual in his culture, and ended up staying with me for a few days. And we struck up an amazing friendship. And he shared about the need in Haiti and said, do you want to come and visit me in Haiti? I've visited you. So a few months later, me and a couple of friends, we headed out there, and we're just, our life, I guess, was changed for the better ever since that trip, both in what we witnessed with some of the injustices, which kind of were very challenging, particularly going to one of the government public hospitals and witnessing a girl who'd died just from a lack of basic materials, and seeing the frustration of the medical team there and the reality they faced every day. But then also seeing the hope and the courage of the Haitian people. And they had this empty field, and they had a dream. They said, we want to build a new hospital here so that children like you've seen aren't going to die, and we'll get access to better and more, dignified care. Would you help us? And so we came back and thought, yeah, we'd love to help this group. Again, it was very much from my angle as a Christian, kind of a faith calling. But then, yeah, that empty field has kind of grown over the years. Haiti suffered, obviously, one of the worst natural disasters in recent history with the earthquake in 2010. It had a huge cholera epidemic, so it's been a challenging road. But that empty field is now kind of a 100-bed hospital, supports over 330 staff, and has about 35,000 patients go through it a year. So, we set up a charity to kind of help partner and co-found the hospital called Hope Health Action. And then in recent years, we're just kind of praying and reflecting, could we try and do what we've done in Haiti in other contexts? And so for the last 5 years, Hope Health Action's also been working in East Africa, in Uganda and South Sudan, responding to the refugee crisis. So that's kind of been a huge part of my life. We've just are in the process of opening our first health clinic in South Sudan, which is exciting. I read a really harrowing statistic a few weeks ago, which basically said that a secondary school girl in South Sudan has more chance of dying in childbirth than she does completing school. And that just kind of gives a context to the kind of huge health injustices that women particularly are facing in South Sudan. So that's a huge part of our work going forward. And we're also just in the process of fundraising for a new neonatal unit in northern Haiti. We helped open one back in 2012, which was designed for 8 babies, but now regularly has over 20 babies. So you can imagine, a unit way over double capacity. So you've got 2 or 3 babies sometimes sharing a cot. So we're passionately working at the moment to get that new neonatal unit up and running in the next couple of years.
Where on earth is your place of reset or recharge?
I think weekly for resetting for me is, I'm a bit of an introvert, so a bit of alone time is something I enjoy. Getting out in the forest and running, listening to a podcast or some music or praying for me is always an energy point. Or with the family, I love going to Wales. I love kind of the mountains and the coastline there. So if it was kind of a summer holiday destination, travelling into Wales. And I've started recently collecting vinyls from charity shops as well. So I quite like, again, just in the evening when everyone's gone to bed, just a glass of red wine and a vinyl, and I'm in a happy place. So.
What wonder of the natural world excites you the most?
The Swiss mountain range for me. Through our work, we've got a few different groups who support us in Switzerland, so we've had the privilege to kind of go over there a few times, and the mountains in Switzerland are something else, really. It's it's quite extraordinary.
Whilst orbiting around wonder, here is another 1-minute wonder from our friends at Ask Nature, who look to nature for inspiration to solve design problems in a regenerative way.
What exactly are sharks detecting when using their famous ability to sense the electrical signals of their prey? All living beings generate electrical fields around them through the release of charged atoms and molecules produced by various biological processes. As fish open and close their gills and mouths, they create a wave pattern in that release. When those pulses of negatively charged ions hit special pores in a shark's skin, positive ions rush to the outer ends of tiny gel-filled organs to meet them. Sensory cells at the organ's inner ends detect the changes in charge and transmit them to nerves, which send the signals to the brain. In addition to the typical snout locations, some stingrays have pores on their backs to sense when another predator may be lurking above or behind. Skates and bamboo sharks still inside their eggs can sense the biofields of nearby predators and will stop their tail movements to avoid detection. A better harnessing of electroreception by humans could reshape how we interact with the underwater world.
Carwyn, what is your story of hopefulness that's not your own, about a person, business or non-profit who are doing amazing things for the world?
I'd give a shout out to a guy called Edward, who we work with, but is an extraordinary guy who's a refugee from South Sudan living in Uganda. And I guess what he's done is kind of a reflection of a far wider number of people. There's about 1.4 million refugees living in Uganda, and each of them have got the most extraordinary stories of courage and hope and resilience. Just to give a sense of what that looks like. The rations that they get at the moment within the refugee settlements only last them typically on average, no more than half of a month. So you'll get your 14 or 15 days of food, and then the rest of the time you're kind of, where do you get your food? And you've got the 83% I think it is of the refugees are women and children. So you have a single mother with kind of 4 or 5 kids having to do everything, and I'm just always humbled. And Edward, he's from a community called Kajikeji in South Sudan, and back in the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, the war in South Sudan broke out into his community, and as a faith leader there, he was kind of quite prominent in trying to bring peace and kind of reconcile, and was faced with some really harrowing sights and situations that he witnessed, and sadly him and his family had to leave along with that community, and so they became refugees in Uganda. But I visited him a few weeks later, having seen him displaced in Uganda, and it was incredible, just his immediate commitment, even though he didn't know where he was going to be living, even though that he hadn't slept for many nights from what he'd witnessed and the trauma, but he was just straight on the kind of putting other people first, and like, right, this community that they don't have any school for their kids within the refugee settlement. We need to set up a school here, and so they did. And then we need to do this and we need to do that, and it was just extraordinary. Just on a shoestring, with such few resources, but just with hope and courage, to see Edward lead a movement where they've now set up a number of leading schools in the refugee settlements. We've had the privilege to partner with them, helping them with health at work, livelihood and agriculture support. I don't know if I can be a bit cheeky and add one other story of hope from the kind of individual that it then kind of passes on, doesn't it? Like Edward's hope then becomes hope for others. And there was a guy we met who had a quite severe disability earlier this year, and he was kind of excluded, and there's a lot of stigma against people with disabilities in that context, particularly in the refugee settlements where they're kind of viewed as being worthless. And so our local team started working with him to provide him tools and materials to be able to do his own agriculture. And so he started doing that, and because of his disability, he was having to do it just crawling on the ground. And the local community kind of came and just laughed at him and said, how can a cripple cultivate land? And this guy explained to me that he felt that he was just treated like an animal, and yet he persevered and had that hope, and then he actually yielded one of the best harvests in that community. And the very people who'd been mocking him came back and apologised. They hadn't done as well with their harvest and said, could you help us? And then he forgave them, shared his food, alongside sharing his food with the very people who were mocking him, also was able to improve his shelter, invest in future opportunities. And so it's just that kind of, that hope passing onwards. But Edward kind of started that movement, and I'm, just profoundly moved, and always, it leaves me wondering, in terms of the podcast, but where do they get that resilience and hope? I mean, it's very much for a lot of them in their faith in God, but it's extraordinary with what they face and what they do with so little.
Finally, as we prepare to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, what insight, wisdom, or question would you like to leave with us?
I think from what I've shared, I think the journey of Hope Health Action from where we started as a charity when we were just 21 is just to encourage people in startups to dare to dream. I guess we had a lot of people when we came back from that first trip to Haiti, and we were like, we want to build a hospital. And a lot of people understandably were like, that's never going to happen, good luck. But I guess dare to dream. And I guess a bit of advice that was given to me early on was by quite a successful businessman, and he said, surround yourself by better people than who you are, which I think was a great bit of advice, because I think when we set out as young leaders, we're often kind of, I don't know, there's that sense that you need to know everything, or you've got to have this bravado and be very charismatic. And he was like, just have the humility to accept yourself with your strengths and your weaknesses, and surround people who are better to complement those weaknesses. And I think humility is, kind of maybe slightly a lost art in leadership, and something we need to go back to, and something I'm always, within our charity, all of us kind of trying to grapple with what that looks like. But I think, that pursuit of humility in today's world. And the last thing, I guess, for me, which has been a fundamental verse that started the charity from the Bible, but I think it's applicable for people of all faiths and none, is to love others as we'd wish to be loved ourselves. And I think the world needs a bit more humility, myself included, and a bit more love. So if we can combine those two, then that'd probably be what I'd love to impart, I guess.
To find out more about Hope Health Action, go to hopehealthaction.org. I want to thank Carwyn for joining us on Wonderspace this week, and for engaging with our 6 questions in such a compelling way. We finish with a question to you, our listeners. What is your story of hopefulness that's not your own, about a person, business or non-profit who are doing amazing things for the world? A story that makes a name for someone else. Thanks for listening.